Ladies and gentlemen, um, welcome to, welcome back, I should say. Welcome back to Influence Hour. They showed me for a quick second without my hat. That was kind of weird. I don't know how that happened. So usually they let me see, boom, that's what I wanted to see. Now I can start the show. Relax. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Influence Hour. I wanted to be early today. I started 25 seconds early. I said they deserve that. This episode is called Glass. We're here doing another quarantine banger. Yeah, I'm supposed to a guest today. Shokare Nakpodia. Super duper awesome. I'm your host, Kinyo. It's Kinyo. Yeah, you want to check me out. It's pretty easy to find me. kinyo.org, kinyo.org. Yes, so definitely go get more things from kinyo.org. It's really cool to be back. Like when I'm live, I'm very happy. You know, I don't actually enjoy doing live streams. I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't like it because it's a lot of energy. But when I am live, I'm happy because I'm recording. I'm not just talking to whoever's going to watch this video, but I'm talking to whoever's going to watch this video. Isn't that pretty cool? It's you. It's whoever. I don't know. I love it. And it gives me a chance to be like, okay, what is going on? You know, new things come to mind. I get inspired. I'd get more. I'll be more inspired when I have actual people like commenting live. The camera's looking really good today, so I'm just chilling. I'm like, should I just chill like this for a little while? I feel like I could just hang out. Yeah. But you know what? My guest is here. So I was going to do intros. Go check out project4.tv. Go check out lightington.com. But I'm going to have my guest come in because this is what Influencer Hour is all about. It's about the guest. And this person is a prolific business person, a leader, a visionary. And so it's my pleasure to welcome to you the founder of Dream Week in San Antonio, one of the largest, which culminates in the largest Martin Luther King March in the country. None other than, okay, I'm making him wait. That's ridiculous. Let's do this. Sir, welcome. I see the name, I hear audio, and now I have video. Wow, this is such a pleasure. This is awesome. Welcome to Influence Hour, everybody. Round of applause. Show Nakpodia, sir. It's a pleasure to have you. How are you doing?
Hi, Kinyo. Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Good to see your face. It's been a while.
Yes. Oh, man. It's been a while since I've seen lots of faces, but how are you
doing? Holding up. You know, just want to get this year done with, you know?
Yeah. Does it feel weird? It feels, I was thinking about the fact that the year's ending, right? Such a weird year is ending. And, you know, you think about something being on pause, which it feels like a lot of things have been on pause, but then at the same time, something's ending. And I just started feeling that sort of conflict there where I'm like, hey, even though you thought things were on pause, whatever was on pause, it's still wrapping up. So obviously stuff was still happening. How are you feeling about the ending of the year? You're very hopeful for, I'm sure you're hopeful for next year, but.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important. I think it's important for people to all of us just get to the finish line and say, hey, you know, we survived 2020. And I think that's just an important statement to make and look back on it and, you know, just think about all the things that happened. It was a great time to meditate, to have, you know, alone time, you know, and just kind of, you know, just figure out what next. So I think there are a lot of people out there who just can't wait to, showcase what they've come up with. And this was a
Yeah.
year of ideas, or just kind of hatching ideas, I think.
Yes, definitely, definitely. I think it's been a great incubation period.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the
you
word
know,
for it.
I want to I want to make sure I'm doing a very good introduction with you and with Dream Week, and learn and hear it from you, because I haven't heard you explain it. How did give us the, I'm sure you're skilled at this, because you're a framer of communication. Give us the timeline, the show Nakpodia, Shokare Nakpodia timeline, from kind of maybe your early, some kind of early impetus to where everything you're doing, and then Dream Week, how that connected.
Well, so, actually, I'm very curious. Just one quick question, and I promise I won't ask you another
No,
one.
that's fine.
Your first name, what's your entire name?
Yeah, so my whole name is
Yeah.
Olu Busola. Uh,
Olubusola.
yes, you said it correctly. I say it.
Okay.
I've said my own
Okay.
name correctly my whole life. It's true.
Okay.
Olu,
Olubusola.
yeah, and then my middle name is Marakinyo,
Morakinyo.
so that's where I get the Kinyo from.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
then,
Morakinyo. It's a beautiful name. That's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, yeah,
Wow. Wow. Morakinyo. Okay. Excellent. I was just
yeah,
curious. Because I'm trying to figure out what section of it. I knew it was some
yeah,
portion of a sliver of a name, but I didn't
yes,
know particularly what it was.
yeah.
But
I harvest
Morakinyo.
it. Yeah,
So you could have been called Ayo. You could have been called Akin. You could have been called Moyo. All
yeah.
kinds of, yeah. So
Everyone, just my family called me Bus, because I mean Busola Bus. That
yeah,
was,
of course, yeah. Of
and
course, yeah.
then yeah, it was all first name stuff. And then I was like, hey, my middle name is really cool. And then someone told me what it meant.
Yeah.
I've seen The Warrior. Well, I heard that. Is that correct? Does that map?
Ayo is joy.
Okay. No,
So
Rakio.
Morakinyo is Akin is like, yeah, warrior, but
Yeah.
you're in, it's kind of a joy with leadership, or joy with courage.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. What did
I latched
what
onto Warrior, and I was like, I like that.
yeah.
It was good for where I was at in my 20s, and I latched onto it. So
But
yeah. But
you live up to your name, so you're good.
no,
So the reason the reason I ask is my name is Shokare
right.
Nakpodia, and everyone calls me Sho, of course. But so I was born in Lagos, Nigeria, and I lived in Lagos. Went to school, boarding school, like a lot of Nigerians my age, and went to England and wanted to be a writer. Ended up in New York. Had a sister who lived in San Antonio. Came to visit her. Fell in love with the city, and I thought it was an excellent place to, as a kind of a creative, to maybe just settle down and chill and try and develop my own voice. And that's how I ended up here. So that was a quick take. But ultimately, I started an agency here called the Mighty Group, and started it almost 20 years ago. And we grew, and around about 2010, we had the opportunity to beautify the MLK route, MLK March route. And I thought to myself then, that, wow, this is, I'd been to the march before, but I'd never really spent enough time almost staying up all night working on the routes, seeing people come, massives, hundreds of thousands. And I just imagined the number of people who couldn't, who had their hearts in the right place, but couldn't be bothered to wake up in the morning and march. But, they were still, and the fact that how can a market like San Antonio have such an incredible asset? How did it develop? And so that's really what the beginning of Dream Week was. The Dream Week was originally a question of how we in San Antonio, how did we create such a wonderful emblem, really, to what our connections within our community was.
Right.
I started to encourage a lot of different people to host events and supporting this thing called Dream Week. And nobody said no at the beginning. That was like almost like 9 years ago. And so has grown. We had 220 events last year, but it's really not even been pushed because I don't have all the resources I need to really take it on a level. But we have something exceptional here as a community. I just happen to be the one who had the opportunity to kind of open the door really. But there's a lot going on in here, and it's kind of a very interesting way. San Antonio is not a market-facing street level environment. You really have to knock on doors, open doors, get to meet people, connect, right. And that's, I think, what gives it that edge, I think, over other cities in this regard. You have to learn to live with others here.
Yeah. Okay. So I love that. So you kind of found that as the answer to that question, the ways in which San Antonio connects, the answer being, it is very one-to-one.
Yes.
It is very intimate.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I describe it more as a buffet. If you want, like, if you want a kind of the a la carte type of, the Austins and the New Yorks and places like that will appeal, but here you have to customize your own experiences much. So it doesn't come to you.
Right. That's very right, because those paths aren't as deeply treaded. Okay, I could go on this forever, and I get to do that some other time. But we're going to go into the 3 rapid fire questions that I hope keep this show exciting and engaging for the viewer. So in the past 4 years, taking into account everything that's going in now, what have been some of the major growth periods? This is question number 1. Some of the major growth periods for you in general.
In the last 4 years, that's a tough one, because I've been working on. I've been working on. I think most creative people or creative people work in a creative field work on themselves constantly. But I just for personal reasons, I've had to kind of spend a lot more time with myself. I don't want to go into too much detail, but I just realized that I wasn't spending enough time, I think some people might think refueling or recharging, but I really sort of relearning a lot of different things. I hadn't spent enough time. So, for example, I don't own a television. What I'm doing right now is rare. Right. I try not to even read as much, but just spend a lot of time just really in meditation. And that's been something that's really helped. The other thing that I realized is that this is probably the second meeting, and generally, I think you're an excellent person. I love your spirit. I just love what you do around the community. We haven't really connected as well as I would love, but I get people that ask me to do this and do that, and I realize that no matter how you feel, your one's idea of success is not necessarily, it's not necessarily the perception others have of you. You can't. I don't have a really good gauge on either. So I don't try to be any longer, and try not to be anymore. Just be myself. And for some reason that translates to a lot of people like success, and I've learned to start to accept it.
That's really interesting to me. Okay. To kind of follow up that leads into the next question. What excites you about what's coming up? And the last interview I did, I kind of reframed it and I said, what would be the most exciting projection of what it is that you're trying to do? And that ties into me kind of what you were talking about. There is ambition, and I was thinking about ambition earlier today too as a very interesting concept, and what we use ambition to like satisfy in our everyday lives. Looking through the window of ambition becomes a daily practice, and it shapes the way in which we actually interact with our everyday life, even though it's a far off thing. So I'm kind of curious. I was going to ask, what was it that you were trying to go for, but I'm more interested. I'm going to carry it straight into the next question. In what excites you about what you think is coming?
Well, okay, so so I have a lot of, I mean, a lot of people who are very close to me would, we generally have a lot of discussions, and some people might consider them somewhat philosophical, but I really think that right now we are struggling as, at least, within America, with language and how we can express this language that of truth that kind of supports what we are all feeling, some commonality, right? So when you have the idea woman, for example, not, or, the idea man, it's in play that people saying, no, this is what women should be. And another group says, no, the idea woman should be this. And another groups will say, it should be more fluid than that. It can be one thing or the other. You start to have arguments about language. And I'm fortunate to have a background with certain other languages, whether it's I'm not Yoruba like your family probably are, but Urobo and Shokare that come from, you can't change the language. There's nothing you can't, you don't tweak it. You just have to learn it. And so it's quite fascinating for me. So when you ask that kind of question, I see people becoming a lot more true about how they express themselves. And for that reason, we have to be uncomfortable with the language we've been using to describe our own existence, because it doesn't fit quite well as well. And so that is to me, what Dream Week is that if people can be honest enough, and it's part of their ambitions as well, but talk about what their true dreams are.
Right.
And we allow an environment where there's, you just allow people to express themselves. That is when we discover the genius that exists within us. And it doesn't all necessarily appear at once, but you never know where that next genius is going to come from. You don't know where the next Malala is going to come from, where the next MLK is going to come from. It could come from any voice. It could be, a 12-year-old girl on the South Side, on the West Side. It could be a young boy on the East Side. You just don't know where it is. You have to just allow it. And so it's that, but once we decide that one cannot express themselves, we can only express ourselves within these parameters, I think we suffer. And I think that's what I'm hopeful that we're going to overcome. But I think it's going to be a real interesting conflict, because it's a real battle right now for this idea of what the new language is going to be.
Wow, that was powerful. And I think you had said earlier that you had just happened to be, the one to run with the idea. But I think truly, the reason why you were able to push this is because of your focus on that idea of people expressing their dreams. That focus as a singular focus is so amazing. I wonder how you look at what's going on as far as the national conversation, and how you feel as a poet. For me, I sometimes hesitate, and I'm choosing now the actions that I want to take, because I'm like, right, okay, well, this is what I actually want to do. But I sometimes struggle with the fact that I look at everything and I'm like, I see a lot of people not knowing how to say what they want to say. And I see a lot of miscommunication, rampant.
Yes. That's our biggest problem.
Right. So how are you? How do you look at that, and how do you fit Dream Week maybe into that? But how do you look at that?
Well, okay, so if we can take things at a time, I think sometimes we tend to, I don't want to be oversimplistic about this and say look, we, I think sometimes we just avoid our neighbors and then, have a longing for a relationship that is, miles, metaphorically miles and miles away. So I think every connection, everyone you connect with on a day-to-day basis, for some reason, that is, I think, spiritually, that is meant to happen. And you have to engage each person as they could be necessarily. And even if you don't believe in God, but just find that divinity in every single person that you come across. And the day slows down, and then all these wonderful things start to happen. So as a person, I can spend days just talking to you.
Right.
Because I can only learn, because I can never be you. And as long as you're truthful and we're both truthful, now we just impact our lives, because you'll be giving me so much information about being this other person that I could never be, that is true. And I don't have to live those experiences, but I can, and that is what we need. If we can just figure out a way to not deny people that option to just be divine, in that sense, and say, I'm going to trust that I'm not going to be judgmental. Share what your experience as a human being is. It's not really that difficult.
Okay, super awesome. I'm gonna wrap up the second question, because I'm
Okay.
loving it, and I think one more follow-up question is appropriate. I'm thinking about what you said about people expressing their dreams again, and then you being excited to see the unfolding of that happening in different ways. And I was thinking earlier today about the Martin Luther King speech, and I was thinking about, just the purity of him telling a group of people,
Yeah.
one of his speeches, I've seen the mountaintop,
Yeah.
and then the line where, little black boys and little, white boys, I don't remember the exact, but,
Yeah.
kids of different races being able to play with each other. And I'm like, the
Yes.
purity of him saying that he's seeing this reality. And truthfully, I actually thought that races would, not even racism, just in general, narratives around it would be diluted over time, just by
Yeah.
kids not growing up in that universe. But now I'm seeing media is interesting, because we're archiving a lot of stuff, and so people
Yeah.
are growing up into these conversations in a way that I didn't think was really going to happen to the same extent. So I just wonder, as far as those things playing out, how do you see that playing out in a global way, where these the conversations around our dreams and our connectivity becomes a platform in and of itself? Even with Facebook, do you see, because I know Dream Week is an amazing thing. And to see it played out with events, like you said, over 200 events, and it is so San Antonio. San Antonio has
Right.
these weird, just like,
Yes.
the Spurs. There's almost like a connection there, where it's just like there's this strong current of just
Yeah.
straight greatness,
Yeah.
and a dismissal of anything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, I'm just wondering how you see this, because I know it's a great, you're creating this whole like dome for 2 weeks almost over the
Yeah.
city, where it's like this, I don't know, it's just great. It's this great expressive, I'm sure it's kind of like how people enjoy other like the World's Fair or something like that.
Right.
But how do you see that going with media? Is there going to be a Dream Week social media, maybe a Dream Week?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really good question, because
Dream Week TV?
half of before Dream Week started, I thought about it for about a year and a half or so. And so Dream Week is easy for me because, for example, I'm just talking about Dream Week now. You mentioned it earlier. For a lot of people, they have to maybe research or talk, figure out things. But because I kind of believe that Dream Week, in a one sentence, is really trying to get everyone to it. let me just say it because let me articulate it as best as I can. We were having a discussion once, and a friend of mine said that heaven will be every single person who's ever lived watching every other person's life. We all have to watch each other's lives from till the part to the die, and we get to watch each other's lives, and I was thinking, wow, that's interesting in itself. But some people might find that you can't think of anything more boring than to actually watch the lives of every single person. And some people might think, wow, that would be incredibly exciting.
Right.
And to me, I think that ultimately that would just start to realize that they just all describe what your experiences are. They're just more full, just more detailed. I don't think it's that different. So when you talk about a global world, I'm thinking when we talk about Black Lives Matter, for example, and you have people in Tibet with signs saying Black Lives Matter, and there's no one remotely of the dark hue there, you start to understand that maybe Black in a sense is not necessarily just reduced to the skin color any longer, and it becomes this mental state, right, that we all share. My issue is when we talk about African and when we talk about both of us, maybe you American, but maybe your parents or grandparents were Nigerian. Again, my grandmother, for example, didn't understand the concept Nigeria. That would have been very strange to her. The idea of her being Black would have been strange too. She only considered white people white, but she wasn't Black. She was normal.
Right.
So the idea, and so when we talk about Black here and it becomes this one thing, it's a little to me, a little troubling. I think that when you, I think it's important to, as an abbreviation and a shortcut to get to where we are. For now, probably works and has worked for a while. But I remember even as a child, first time I heard "I'm Black and proud," I didn't really understand why anyone would say that, because that's what everybody around me was. We didn't have, there weren't any options. It wasn't like you could pick one and say, I'd rather have that or not. So I think we have to be, I'm hoping that the language and our dreams will make us more discriminating. And that's what I'm trying to get at. Rather than say Nigerian or Black or so, we get to know this individual and let that be the defining, let the content of their character, as MLK says, be the defining feature. And then maybe we'll find something between Kinyo and Show, and you go, you know what? There's something Nigerian about you, and I figured it out, but only because you spent enough time with both of us to figure out some commonality that maybe we don't even identify ourselves. We have to understand that Europeans, the kind of discrimination we afford Europeans when we say the French, the Germans and stuff, will give Africans when we say Ghanaian or Nigerian or is the same sort of sensibility. We are very different. In fact, within Nigeria, the Yorubas are very different from the Igbos. They're two different, groups, and being in the same country as kind of, refine some of the edges, and so it's not as clear cut, and there's a lot of intermarriage. But Yorubas are Yorubas, and Igbos are Igbos. And the average Nigerian will be able to tell if you're Yoruba or Igbo, just by even just looking at you in some cases. So I feel that as Black folks, we have to be conscious of the fact that, it's not just one thing. And I think that would help the rest of the world understand themselves as well, and not just see this other thing, but see a lot of other things.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what Dream Week is doing, by creating this, and I'm thinking about my experiences with Dream Week because, to me, it was funny that you say buffet. That's what Dream Week to me was. I was like, this is like just this is amazing.
Right.
And
Yeah.
someone just set up, like this amazing contextual, series of, when I think about it, is its definition via almost like a library of lives, because you just
Yes.
get to see impactful person. And that's the problem almost with San Antonio. It's like
Yes.
everybody's Tim Duncan. You just have
Yes.
like everyone who's doing
Yes.
some
Yes.
version of this amazingly deep,
Yes.
perspective of, like cultural
Yeah.
progression. So it's just like, and they're
And
focused.
can you imagine how many there are? There are thousands. We could have thousands. Everyone is like that. Literally every human being is like that.
At least
Literally.
1,000.
Yes. Yeah. Literally any human being that is can spend enough time a lot, an adult, has something to share. Every human being.
Right.
As long as they have the right platform.
Right. Exactly. And you need so many in San Antonio. I wonder, so anyway, I'm excited. I'm very excited. So I have the main wrap-up question for the show. Okay, this is the hitter. What was your favorite product that you purchased in the last 24 hours?
24? I hardly ever purchase any. I haven't spent a dime in the last 24 hours.
Okay, see, I knew eventually this would happen, that I was going to get to a tier of people who actually plan out their life, because not everyone spends money every day. But
but let me think really. 24 hours. So that would have been from last night.
But technically, you could include subscriptions if you're subscribed to anything. That's
well, I mean, I run a business, so there are people taking money out of my account. So I don't know if that counts. But my account didn't look like that last night. I'll tell you that. Something happened to it. Things happened.
Right.
But in terms of being intentional and spending money, I looked online because I have two children, and they're growing up now, so I have to think about what I have to buy them for Christmas. But I didn't actually hit the purchase.
Okay, that counts though. I mean, we could throw that in there, unless you have something. You know what? Well, I'm gonna hold the Christmas.
Well, let me think. I'm surprised you asked that question. Now, let me tell you something, right? I have a number. Do you have a number that just chases you around?
Sometimes I'm very elusive to them because I don't want anything.
Don't like that, Yeah. This number I've chased. This number has just chased me around for a long time. 30 years maybe, to the point where I know, I don't know. My eyes are just can't figure it out. So maybe it's just me just being able to find it. But it's 277. Okay. And so I'm driving past this huge billboard going home, and it says 277 is the lottery or some. I don't play these things. Some lotto thing. I don't think this might be the big one. So I might be buying something tomorrow morning. Put it that way. Okay. So that's basically the purchase. I was thinking. I'm thinking about stopping to buy a ticket. I don't even know how much they are. I've never. I have no idea. I don't even know when I win I probably have to call you and say go cash it for me or something. I have no idea how this works.
I think there's an office. I've heard there's an office. You take it there and they give you a portion of it. Obviously, you don't get all of it, but
that was it.
On one end, and the Christmas gifts on the other end. I almost feel like there's a chain in there. Holidays are so interesting. But anyway, okay, I love it. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, man. Enjoyed it tremendously.
I know you're doing.
And I would love you to be part of Dream Week. You need to do a Dream Week version of this show.
I do. When I first started the show, one of the first events that I did was a Dream Week event. So I was part of the 2016 maybe. But yes, you know what? You're right. I do need to. I think
this is fantastic. If you can push it, we can talk about it offline. And we have 10 days. If a couple of them, maybe
I want to do a whole bunch. I think I want to do multiple Dream Week shows. So yes,
that'll be awesome.
I'm gonna think about it. I was like, I want to run a little sideline commentary for Dream Week because
I'm always interested. We have just this Dream Week. The highlight of this Dream Week is that we have the Descendants Series. So we have descendants of original Africans that came here. to slavery. We have Native Americans, and we have the children of the soil. The Mexican when this was Mexico as well. So we're trying to highlight what their experiences are, because in a way the country came to the nation, although they're not immigrants. There's that juxtaposition of what this idea America is to what they had experienced prior to. It's something that is foreign to them in a sense as well, and we need to have that discussion. So we're going to have a series of those, but I'd love you to be an MC or host a series that deals with the people that you come in contact with, mostly the poets. Why don't you have poets, not rather than talk about, because a lot of poets are so intuitive and so it'd be nice to just listen to sessions like this, just talking to poets, but not necessarily reading poetry, just talking about their lives and where they get their inspiration from.
Yeah. That would be cool. That would be cool. I like it. Any idea you have, send it to me. I'm
All right.
trying to think up something as well. And I'm excited. Oh, I wanted to see, is there one thing that you want people to check out? I know I saw some cool pictures. I know you're doing a new series. I saw you with a bunch of lights around you, and I've seen that a couple times. Some really good photography.
Really? Lights, me?
Yeah, you.
Oh,
I mean,
I'm not sure.
You probably don't know what
but this year, a lot of it is going to be mostly, obviously, virtual, unfortunately, and but we still have a few events that are going to be. Actually, I was surprised because we really didn't want to push this. We wanted to have an off year where we would just keep it going. Yeah. But Lily Gindi, our program manager, basically informed me a couple of days ago, and that we have over 100, and so it's just and literally without doing so much, pushing this awesome. As much as we can. But this is our 9th year, so 2022 is going to be our 10th year, and that is when, Kinyo, I want this place completely lit, and we have to have. I want to have people. We have South by Southwest that could be, that is some, a kind of a. We should be a cerebral type of South by Southwest. I'm not saying it takes years and years to get to that level, but I think we can get.
Maybe not.
We can, as long as people start to come over to this environment. I want us to be prepared for them when they come. I want you and all the different folks in here who are doing so much work on the ground to say, okay, we will show you how, guys, where to pitch your tent, and this is Dream Week, and Dream Week has to be a place where we can come, or at least attempt to resolve conflict every year.
I love it. And because you think about what's going on right now, right? And the thing is, I think one thing that, and I don't know if I'm going to frame this correctly, but I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot because that's what I'm known for. One thing that's a problem is that as humans, we kind of like to specialize. We like to specialize and then watch Netflix, right? It's like, I want to do what I need to do and then not watch Netflix. And so people are like, this whole conversation is going on. People don't know how to deal with it. But, we need a convention. We need an engine to solve this that's going to be running 24/7. And, to have a place where people can come in, go through, where these issues can come in and go through and get processed. And it's such a big deal for the entire world that I think definitely there's so much as far as like market drivers, I'm talking, for something like this, there's definitely an abundance of.
Yes. And just the fact that, Texas, it wasn't fashionable until South by Southwest, and I think City Limits, Austin. It wasn't really known. The Spurs is another huge driver outside of, but most people didn't even know. Most people in the world don't even know that the capital of Texas is in Austin. They have no idea. Dallas, Houston, are well-known cities outside of it. So I think it'll be very interesting to make this place this kind of cerebral, quiet, place at the beginning of every year where people, at least we come and, think about how we're going to approach the upcoming year, and do so in a way that we encourage each other to, at least have our neighbors in mind when we think about doing things and how we operate. And it's not so difficult, I feel that our wealth really relies, our true wealth as a community relies on how we allow everyone play their actual natural roles within it.
Wow. Yeah, exactly. And there's so much definition there that I think reopening that up, because sometimes it gets centralized by Instagram. And then you know what? I'm gonna go on forever, and we're gonna be here 6 hours.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We got when I thought it was 10 o'clock in the morning. If I'd known it was 10 p.m., I was like, whoa, really? This is, I had no idea, man. I was like, what? Kinyo got me on this one. But thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you for being on it. You guys, if you're watching this, go to www.dreamweek.org.
Yes. Dreamweek.org. And it starts on the 14th of January to the 24th. You still have, if you have some time, just go up there. We're still, taking a few applications. I think it's going to be closed by the end of the week or so. But if you have a wonderful idea for an event, or you just want to present something online, let us know at dreamweek.org.
Awesome. You guys do it. It's an amazing resource. I couldn't believe that it existed. Thank you so much, Sho. I take people's nicknames very fast, even if I'm used to their first name. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. This has been great. I'm sure I'm gonna bring you. I hope I get to bring you back for another one.
That's okay.
I look forward to Dream Week. We're gonna do some cool stuff. All right, let me get out of here. I'm having so much fun here. I just want to hang out. But
Thank you, though. I really appreciate it. Keep on doing all this wonderful work, okay? And let's talk soon, okay?
Yep.
Take care.
All right.
Bye.
See you. I'll see you guys.